Good afternoon. I'm Matthew Justice, and welcome to Beaver Creek Woodcraft. Today I want to show you guys a Finnish axe that I just recently completed. This is a Billnäs 12.2 model, which is their mid-size model, and I handmade a flame birch handle for it. It's been treated with pine tar. That's kind of my standard finish. The handle's about 24 inches overall, and as you can see, the pine tar brings out the figure of the wood. Gives it this cool tiger stripe effect. Burning River Bushcraft was kind enough to do a review of this axe, and I just wanted to go over it a little bit more in depth with you guys. He also did a review of my handmade puukko knife. But these Finnish style axes are interesting because they have this long collar, and the handle tapers in the opposite way you think it would. The eye grows smaller as it goes down, loses about a third of its diameter by the time it comes out the top of the axe head. These axes actually do taper, but then they flare out again slightly, about a third up to the top. So you do get that wedge effect like you would with an American style axe. It's just a little bit different way of doing it. This socketed design actually dates back to like the medieval period, and because of the rough climate, and you have a marginal handle material, birch, which to us we think of birch wouldn't be a good handle material for American style axe, but actually on these socketed style axes it's better than hickory. The way it absorbs impact, it doesn't transfer nearly as much shock to the user. If you tried to handle a modern American style axe with a birch handle, though, the eye would put strain too much on the neck wood, and it would probably break in short order. These were just designed for a different purpose. It's a different way of doing it, and they really have very little in common with Western axes, other than the fact that they're both designed to cut and split wood. But the design is far different. It's completely unique, and it kind of caught me off guard. I didn't really, think I would ever own one of these, much less start making them myself, but things happen. It kind of went that way. I kind of got enamored with the design, and so I started getting some heads. Shipping from Finland is ridiculously expensive, especially if you're trying to ship in a full axe. So it actually, most of the heads that wind up here don't have a handle, and that's kind of a problem because nobody makes replacement handles. In Finland, everybody makes their own handles for the most part. There are some small carpentry shops in Finland that make replacement handles, but the guys that I know over there say that they're not very good, that they would prefer to make their own. Birch being somewhat rare species in my particular neck of the woods of Ohio, I actually had to order in flame birch to make this handle from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. But it's all hand carved and hand fitted. Interesting thing about their design is that the end of the handle was actually boiled in water, or it was boiled in pine tar, and then it was driven into the socket. And then while the birch wood was still soft from being boiled, you would drive in what they call a snakehead wedge, which is essentially like a wooden stake that's driven in, and you just put like an X with a knife cut and drive that thing in. It doesn't get. You can wedge them in a more traditional, like Western style way with a single wood wedge, but the snakehead wedge seems to be the way that they were done. These things are funky. They are funky. Jamie Boggs is right. They're weird, but that's kind of the charm that they have. Like I said, this is a Billnäs. The stamp is kind of hard to see, but it's stamped on there, Billnäs. And then Kelikoski was the other major manufacturer of these axes, and I have both. The only one that I don't have is there was a third forge, Stromfors Brook, which was they were like kind of antiquated and never got modernized, never upped their production, so they're comparatively rare today. Billnäs is by far the most famous here in the West. Kelikoski isn't as well known here. Most of these axes are generically referred to as a Billnäs, and this is the Kemi model. And just like American axes, they're named after the different regions where they're from. This pattern came from the blacksmiths in the Kemi region, and when Billnäs and Kelikoski started producing them, they adopted this pattern and they named it the Kemi model, or the 12 series. This one being the 12-2 is the middle size. 12-1 is the largest full-size felling axe, and then the 12-3 is basically like the Finnish equivalent to a boy's axe or a small forest axe. Heads are just under 2.5 pounds, usually mounted on a handle anywhere from 19 inches. When people made their own handles, I have a factory handle on a 12-3, and it's 19 inches with a 2.25 pound head. When people made their own handles, they generally would make them a little bit longer. Most of the rehandle ones were like this one. This is about 23, 24 inches. But even on the full-size models, the handles never really were that long. They're comparatively short compared to American and Western axes. Even their full-size 12.1 felling axe would have had a handle of about 26 inches, maybe a little bit longer. And that was about it. That was as long as they would get. Traditionally made of birchwood, as I said. This one is flame birch, which is birch that has curl, wave to the grain that gives it this really cool two-tone tiger stripe sort of effect. It looks like it's been kissed by flames. That's why they call it flame birch. Probably Finnish descendants were the ones who logged and cut this. You know, the upper peninsula of Michigan is mostly settled by Finns. Pretty interesting piece. They're very capable axes. This long collar gives the handle a lot of bearing surface on it. So because of that, there's a video out there. Marcus has his own YouTube channel where he has the shorter model 12-3, and he's just running it through the works and beating the hell out of it, for lack of a better term. And that's what he says, is like that's what this tool is designed to do. Most of these, in fact, you find the hammer pole, which wasn't hardened, it's smashed and flared out because they were used for everything. There's videos out there on YouTube of these being used for log construction, which I love watching. They were driving everything from steel pegs to wooden pegs, and it was used for crafting log cabins. It was used for felling trees. This is kind of like this is what I would say would be the mid-size all-around model, and this is pretty close to what kind of handle they would have had. I try and do these as traditional as possible. This has been Matthew Justice with Beaver Creek Woodcraft. Thanks for watching.